Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us for this Rare Disease Day 2024, and rarely on a 29th of February as well. My name is Amanda Stranks, and I'm the Patient and Public Involvement Lead for the Cambridge Biomedical Research Centre, and I'll be your host for today. Today's session, I'm really privileged to be able to welcome 4 speakers on the topic of patient-centred research in rare disease, who will each be bringing and sharing their perspectives. And then, as you've been told about, there will be some time for some question and answer at the end. So do please put your questions in the chat as we go along. And thank you very much to everyone who has already taken the time to submit some questions. My team and I had a really interesting time going through them and having a think about some of the themes. As you can imagine, in a time-limited event, we've got about an hour today. We're not going to be able to do justice to all of the questions. So what we've done is we've taken some of the question themes, and my lovely colleague Georgina has put together a resource sheet with some suggested links and information on some common topics that have arisen in those pre-questions. It's also possible to ask your questions anonymously. So if you'd rather not be named, that's absolutely fine. You can just tick that in the Q&A, and then we'll have that Q&A session at the end. Now, I know you didn't all come here today to listen to me speak, so without further ado, it is my very great pleasure to hand over to our first speaker for today. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Kate Baker, who is the Programme Leader at the MRC Cognition and Brain Sciences Unit at the University of Cambridge, and she's an honorary consultant in clinical genetics. See if I can get my mouth around that. And she's going to talk about rare journeys from genes to mental health. So over to you, Kate.
Thank you very much, Amanda.
And use your slides.
And I just check you can just see my slides there.
Yes, that is the correct view. Thank you, Kate.
Thanks again. So I'm really pleased to be joining you all on Rare Disease Day today. Rare Disease Day is a really important chance, first of all, to say thank you. So I want to take this chance to say thank you to everyone who's been part of my rare disease journey, which has been nearly 25 years long already. So I'd like to say thanks to all the patients and families I've met in clinics and on hospital wards, the participants in our research, my research collaborators, my amazing research team. So this photograph is the current Genomic Disorders and Cognitive Development Group, minus one person, and it's a real privilege to work together. One thing about rare disease, whether you're a patient, a family member, a professional or a volunteer involved in care and support, or a scientist, is that it can be lonely. We're all in different ways travelling a unique and uncertain journey. But rare disease journeys can also lead to some very special connections and experiences, and I'm very grateful for those. I prepared this presentation in a rather strange way. I hope you'll accept my apologies for that, because I was on holiday last week, walking in the Lake District. So that's the map you can see in front of you. And it really made me think that a rare disease journey is a lot like a long distance walk. It's hard work. It's lonely. If you're as bad at map reading as I am, you get lost and you end up in a bog. It always takes longer than you think it's going to, and the journey is never exactly as you imagine it might be. But you just have to take one step after another and you do get somewhere. So last week's long holiday walk really made me think about how far the rare disease community has travelled over the last few years. Because 10 years ago, when I was training to be a clinical geneticist, the rare disease landscape looked a bit like this. So there were a relatively small handful of known rare diseases, and we diagnosed these by spotting clinical patterns, which we called syndromes, and sometimes doing a genetic test to confirm the rare syndrome diagnosis. So of all the patients that I saw in clinic, and it wasn't just because I wasn't very good, only a small minority obtained a diagnosis, and those rare disease diagnoses were the rarest high peaks of the high mountains. So much has changed. Things are very different now. Yes, we still spot those high peaks, but the way we usually make diagnoses now is to apply next generation sequencing technologies and test hundreds or thousands of genes together in panels or super panels. And this means we can diagnose the huge number of conditions which just hadn't been discovered 10 years ago, or that we didn't spot because they were not at the highest peaks. So despite all our frustrations about the unacceptable length of time it's currently taking to complete diagnostic tests, and the ongoing experiences of the many people who remain undiagnosed, we are making more and more diagnoses. And a diagnosis is very important, because without a diagnosis, we can't know where each person is starting from on this map, or on their map. But as a community, as we move across these mountains and down the hillsides and the valleys, life is very complicated, because the further we move away from these high peaks, the more conditions we find that actually have overlapping features. And the more people diagnosed with the same condition, the more variation we find within each group. So although we're in a new place on the map, the questions about the future path, the future journey of each rare disease diagnosed person and their family, I'm finding are harder to answer than they used to be. We don't know enough about the conditions we can now diagnose. We don't know how to put rare disease diagnosis in context for each person. And for me, I can't often enough answer the critical question: how much difference does this specific genetic diagnosis make for you? And those huge post-diagnostic uncertainties, this mismatch between the hopes and the reality after a diagnosis, is what motivates our research. So what are we doing about it? In our research group here in Cambridge, we focus on rare genetic neurodevelopmental conditions, which is a very broad group, more than 1,000 different conditions. And we do two things. Firstly, we abseil up and down these mountains, if you like, in what we call deep phenotyping studies. That means we gather groups of patients who have the same genetic diagnosis, or sometimes we join these diagnoses up into broader groups and find out, well, just how similar people are within these groups and how different they are too. We want to know, how deep do we need to go under the surface within and between groups to detect differences? So do we see those differences if we just measure neurodevelopmental progress? Do we need to measure aspects of emotional and behavioural characteristics? Do we need to study, gone too far there. Do we need to study cognitive processes, those contributing aspects of cognitive function that underlie particularly emotional and behavioural function? Or do we need to go deeper into brain structure and function? So that's the first sort of thing we do. But the second thing we do is do some of that long distance walking across the whole rare disease landscape to understand what's shared across the whole community. Because these shared aspects of the rare disease experience might be just as important for helping people as the very deep tunneling down into each specific condition. So I want to share with you just one research slide about a journal article which we published last week, and a huge congratulations to Xiaochan Qi in my group, who's spent 3 years working on this paper as part of her PhD. It's called Rare Neurodevelopmental Conditions and Parents' Mental Health: How and When Does Genetic Diagnosis Matter? It was a collaboration with a large research project called Imagine ID. Some of you may have participated in the project. And it was a collaboration with colleagues at the Centre for Family Studies here in Cambridge. It's a complicated paper. You can read it. It's open access. We'll be delighted to have feedback from you about it. But it's complicated because mental health is complicated. And it's summarised by a really complicated diagram. So don't be alarmed at this. I'm going to take you through it. So Imagine ID collected a questionnaire about mental health from more than 2,000 parents and carers, all of whom had a son or daughter with a neurodevelopmental disorder and a genetic diagnosis. And in our project, Xiaochan and I analysed this data and asked, within this big and very diverse group of parents, what are the biggest predictors of mental health? We found that the biggest direct predictors are something called life events. So that means everything that's going on in life separately from the rare disease, because other things in life matter too. But the other main direct arrow predictor is something called impact, home and distress. So what's that? That means irrespective of the specific rare disease, it's the impact of that condition on home life and the distress that the condition causes the child or young person. that has the most influence on parents' mental health. So what influences impact? Well, it's not the gender of the diagnosed person or the severity of their intellectual disability. It's the physical health, social characteristics, and emotional behavioural characteristics that are associated, that each person has with the diagnosis, that have their major effect on family life. Going back one step, does genetic diagnosis matter? And it does, because if within this cohort we were looking at children, young people with chromosome deletions and duplications, or individuals with gene sequence variants, that difference, the type of genetic diagnosis, is what impacts on physical health, social, emotional, and behavioural function. So there's a pathway from genetics through children's characteristics to family life and parents' mental health. Well, you might say that's not surprising. It's complicated, but it's kind of obvious. And what we think is really important is that although this might seem obvious, it highlights predictable patterns based on real families' experiences, which could and should lead to better post-diagnostic support. So what I'd like the future to look like in rare disease and rare disease research is like this. I'd like us to recognise that families are at the heart of rare disease, that mental health must be a major focus of care, both for diagnosed patients and their families. I'd like us to recognise what's shared as well as what's unique to each person and their diagnosis. And I'd like to take on the challenge to change things. The future will be different from now, and we can shape that future together. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Kate. There's lots and lots already to reflect on in that talk, and I'm sure lots of people in the audience will resonate deeply with many of the things that you've said. So we'll have some Q&A at the end, but now it is my very great pleasure to hand over to Jo Balfour, who is the Managing Director of CamRARE, and her colleague Georgie Windsor, who is the PPI Coordinator for the Rare Disease Research Network project, sorry, nearly got that out without stumbling over it, who are going to talk to us about turning research on its head, co-designing rare disease research with the public. So over to you.
Thank you, Amanda, and great to see so many people registered today. We've already spent this morning down at Addenbrooke's Hospital in outpatients, meeting the public, meeting healthcare professionals, and reminding them really what Rare Disease Day today is all about. So we're going to start with a slide which just has a refresh of what is Rare Disease Day and what are rare diseases. So rare diseases are individually rare, affecting very few individuals per disease, but collectively they're common. What do we mean by that? So the rate that we look to of identifying a rare disease is saying that it has less than 1 in 2,000 people affected. So we have children in our unique feat community where they are the only person worldwide affected. But there are other rare conditions like cystic fibrosis, which might see a population of more like 30,000 in the UK. So individually rare, collectively common. If we gather all of these rare diseases together, we find a population of around about 3.5 million people in the UK alone. That's the population of Wales. In 2022, there was a study by an organisation in America called RareX, and they identified nearly 11,000 different rare diseases. So the figure that we often hear banded around of between 6,000 to 8,000, it already feels very out of date. However, we might have a large population in the UK and worldwide of people with rare conditions, but there's not great equity. This shocking figure, 95% have no approved treatment. It takes an average of 5 years to get a diagnosis. We're finding that these issues are common across all rare conditions. In 2021, many of you will know that the UK Department for Health and Social Care, they released the new 2021 UK Rare Disease Framework. And the ambition of this project really is to address these inequities. We're looking for quicker and more more accurate diagnoses, getting to the right answer, first time round. We're looking for healthcare professionals to be educated and aware of rare conditions, and we're looking for coordination of care to be much smoother and access to treatments, drugs and specialist care to be improved. So Georgie's going to talk a little bit about how our new rare disease research network fits into the action plans and what its ambitions are for trying to resolve some of these key issues.
Yes, so we know that we need more rare disease research, especially looking at those statistics and the inequity of research. But we also know that for that research to be most effective, we need to make sure that we're best understanding patient priorities and we're making them included at every stage in that process. So when we talk to patients or people who live with rare diseases, we often hear that research doesn't always necessarily match their priorities. So often research topics are chosen by the researcher, which is great, but it means that it might not necessarily be what they would like to see carried out and the most pressing topic for them. And we also know that there are often logistical challenges for them getting involved in research and also retention in research projects. So for example, if I live with a rare disease and my primary symptom is fatigue, and I'm being asked to travel across country multiple times to participate in a study, that might not be accessible to me. And of course, there's also limited funding, which is an issue that we always come up against. So our idea is that if we involve those with lived experiences in rare disease at every stage of the process, and that's not only patients, that's also, as Kate mentioned, our families, our supporters, our caregivers, and our community members, then that means that we can not only get patients' research ideas seen and heard, but we can make the research field more equitable for everybody. And that means that it also benefits the researchers and those carrying out research because it improves participation and retention, makes sure that we're measuring the most relevant outcomes and we're having the most impact too. And at the same time, we're driving advocacy and improving implementation and policy change.
Thanks. Can you move on to the next slide?
Yes, sorry.
So as Georgie mentioned, patients for a long time have been outsiders in the research agenda. Over the last 10 years, we've definitely seen a real effort and increase in researchers, both clinical, academic, and companies, inviting patients to get more involved. But are they getting involved at the right point? Our rare disease community, and what we mean by community is families, carers, patient support organisations and charities, they're saying we want to be involved in actually setting the research questions. We've got things that we think are important to research that are priorities for us as a community today, now, that aren't being looked at. So when we're talking about turning research on its head, we're thinking about really looking at, are the research questions what patients want, or what researchers want, and how do we redress that balance? So when we bring patient organisations together and we ask them to address key priorities, they start to see that they actually have lots of common ground. So this is something that Kate mentioned earlier in her talk, that actually it's often about common challenges that are across different rare conditions. It might be about mental health. It might be about symptom management, which they all have in common. It might be about their quality of life. Are we looking at these ideas and these priorities and making sure that they're part of the research agenda too? So hopefully the Rare Disease Research Network, which will be an online platform, an opportunity for patients to actually share what's important to them, will start to allow these ideas and these priorities to filter through to the research community. One of the key things that everybody's interested in, and we certainly are as a network, is about fostering cross-sector collaboration. So looking at how all of the different stakeholders in rare diseases can work together to try to address multi-system rare diseases. We want to not only provide patient organisations with an opportunity to share their research ideas via the platform, but we want to help them to be better at research. We want to try and educate them about the research process. We want to upskill them and give them the tools that they need to be better involved in research, whether that's starting with how do I actually define my research question, or going through to the different styles of research and trial that they might do. So a platform that will allow people to share ideas, it will educate and improve research efficiency, it will design better, more inclusive research, and it will give people the opportunity to connect and collaborate by putting research ideas on a platform, allowing all stakeholders access to that platform. We begin the conversations that need to happen about what's important to you, how can we help, how can we work together, how do we take this forward? Georgie.
So that's the premise of the platform, and we're an NIHR funded project. So where we're at the moment is we recruited 21 community members. So those are representatives of patient organisations, but also those with lived experiences, families, parents of those living with a rare condition, and they are co-producing every single stage of this project with us. So I think I'd like to take the opportunity to just shout out their amazing work and how grateful we are for them, because obviously we're passionate about patient-led over here, but I really can't overstate how incredible the ideas that they've brought to this project and the energy and the passion has been. They have helped us to build every aspect so far. So we're still in the building process right now, and we have a wonderful web developer that's helping us to bring that to life. We will have on the website, so the idea is that, as Joe mentioned, it's a networking platform. It's a platform that will be open and very welcome to all of our different stakeholder groups. It will include resources, expertise, and peer mentorship, but most importantly, it will have a function to matchmake community members with researchers, clinicians, industry, and funders, with the idea that they can showcase their own research ideas, and those people can get in touch and help to bring them to fruition. So we're hoping to launch in November 2024. And in the meantime, we'll be doing lots of work to make sure that it really hits the mark with our community's priorities, but also, as I mentioned, that it's a place for all of those stakeholders.
So I'm just going to leave you with this final slide. I think it captures everything that we stand for within the Rare Disease Research Network. This is about turning the traditional model of research on its head. So, you can see in this infographic, the researchers decide on the ideas and the questions. They don't, at that point, traditionally involve the patients too much. Then when they come to the design process, they begin to talk to patients, maybe a patient organisation. But it's very much been a feeling from patient organisations that research is done to them rather than with them and for them. And then when it comes to the actual dissemination of information, is it getting to patients? Are they actually finding out the value of their contribution to the research and the what next? So by flipping this on its head, we're looking very much at making this an equal playing field, looking at how the patients and the researchers work collaboratively together from the very outset and throughout the process, that everything's about listening, support, it's about taking ownership together, about collaborating, partnership, and teamwork. So I think our final shout out really is to follow us. We've got a LinkedIn page, and that links to a temporary holding page, rd-rn.org. We are going to be continuing to involve our community throughout this process. We're going to be testing a prototype for the platform in April, so that's quite exciting. But in the meantime, we want everybody out there to be getting in touch, finding out about what we're doing, and considering how they might get involved for the future. Georgie, any last words?
No, thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you both. And I think it's a real feature of rare disease research that it is so driven by patients and patient advocates and family members. We wouldn't make anywhere near as much progress as we currently are were it not for their tireless work. And I think sort of systems like you are both planning on doing. Now, it is my very, very great pleasure to introduce our third speaker for today. Come in the nick of time. So I would like to hand over to Dr. Ben Marlow. And Ben, your camera's not on at the moment. Do you want to see if you can turn that on as well? I can see your slides, but it's your sharing version as well. Sorry, your presenter version at the moment.
My camera is on.
Your camera is on, yes, and I can hear you perfectly, but we are
Okay.
currently looking at your presenter view, so we can see your next slide as well as your main slide.
Okay.
If you go to display settings at the top of your screen there,
Yeah.
it should let you swap that around to just see your main slide.
Oh, sorry about this. I missed the trial, didn't I? So this was
Not a problem. You have landed just in time, and we are absolutely going to make it work. So if you go, yeah, press that one. There you go. Beautiful. Over to you, Dr. Marlow.
Right. So I've been asked for 10 minutes, which is the shortest presentation ever. So I'll try and keep to time. But thank you very much for inviting me on this very important day. I am a consultant in pediatrician and neurodevelopment, but also run a research center called the Synapse Center and work with our local ICB. I'm connected to quite a lot of other groups within the rare disease space. But my main focus for this is my son, Fred, who you can see here. Fred is nearly 10 and has a diagnosis of profound autism with severe learning impairment, but has many other health issues. And I suppose the topic I want to raise there isn't about my son, it's about all the children like him as well, who have a neurodevelopmental delay or a global diagnosis of autism, which is essentially masking a lot of their underlying health needs and needs that need to be met. And currently they're not being. And I think that's my main focus of the talk that I wanted to get across. The reality is for a diagnosis such as autism, the numbers of children with autism are increasing and with global delay in general, which is a really hard task to face in terms of health, but also for parents and the young people with profound levels of learning disability. Alongside the autism diagnosis comes a medical cost, particularly with profound autism, meaning that the health comorbidities associated with it life limit. And many of the children, including my son, have lots of other health issues which we struggle to meet within the NHS. Partly that is because of an understanding of what they mean, because there are a constellation of different health issues I'll come on to, which we need to better define genetically. The reality is within our service, the numbers of children with a neurodevelopmental delay increase every year. This is figures from 2021 to 22. So over 200 children with profound levels of learning delay and health issues, which we're not understanding. We understand that there are delays there, but we're not in a position where we're choosing to probe further in terms of genetic testing or screen for other genetic or biological problems. Neurodevelopment is incredibly complex, and it relies a lot of time and input. And I think that's part of the challenge within the NHS is the numbers of children we're seeing, we're not having enough time to really get to the bottom of their needs and to understand the differences in brain structure and function. But also importantly, as Kate alluded to earlier, the medical comorbidities that they have and the diverse array of symptoms. So thinking about genetics, other countries in the world, including US, do more genetic testing generally in this group of children, which has resulted in some really interesting results. So this is an autism study, a whole exome sequence study from 2020, which revealed in 12,000 individuals with autism, over 100 autism-associated genes were found. And why is this important? It's important because then we can better medically define the issues that these children have, and importantly, offer the option of maybe treating some of those symptoms, which at the moment within the UK, that doesn't exist. And examples of where therapies can help these children and young people are among the identification of these many genes. Having said this, however, even within this study, a large proportion of the children and adults tested, they didn't find the genetic reason for their challenges, which is probably a different topic to discuss, and the complexity of many of these neurodevelopmental disorders. But examples of why genetic identification is common is outlined in these very brief slides I have now. So commonly there's a genetic change called ADMP mutation, whereby a child presents as autistic, very commonly associated with autism, but has many other aspects to their phenotype, motor and language delay, behavioral issues, and sleep difficulties and epilepsy. So very common symptoms we see within the autism community generally. But the reality is, knowing that if children have this genetic change, there is research and science backing up potential therapy. For example, mouse models now and trials within the use of low-dose ketamine within this group. So it's offering an opportunity to do drug discovery and research, and importantly, repurposing medication. We're not talking about shiny new medications here. We're talking about readily available medications which have already been trialed in humans that can be potentially repurposed. Other examples would be SYNGAP from this study, again, in more severely affected children with autism and epilepsy and mood disorders, and having more genetic change relevant to RAS and ERK, which are amenable to different therapies. So understanding if a child has this genetic change could offer an opportunity for trials in lovastatin, which is a commonly used cholesterol-lowering drug, which reduces the activity of RAS and ERK. Another example would be SHANK3, which is more of a scaffold protein, which organizes the functionality of synapses, very commonly associated with autism. And again, a future target potentially looking at gene therapy, which drug companies are now more involved in. So there are examples of 3 genes that are now found within this big global community of autism, which potentially are more amenable to treatment, and importantly, repurposed medications. I thought I'd also share some experiences of my local caseload, and I have invited one of my many families along, one of the parents, to talk about her son later. But it is regarding what do you do with a genetic result? I think that's the other challenge we face, is identifying genetic variants is just the start, really, and it's knowing what to do with that genetic change. Coming through the 100,000 Genome Project and now beyond to other studies in whole genome sequencing, which is being more readily available, we're beginning to realize that this is just the start of the jigsaw. And just because you have a genetic change, we don't really know what to do with it, because a lot of these changes are so rare. So this little man in particular has a deletion of part of chromosome 6, which covers quite a few different genes. But one in particular is involved in inflammation. It's the tumor necrosis factor alpha-induced protein 3 gene, which in literature show is implicated in an inflammatory pathway called NF-kappa B. So within mainstream NHS medicine, to realize that this young man has a deletion in this area, we can know what symptoms to look out for. And he does have a lot of GI issues which affect his behavior. But it's then how to treat them, because this is all very experimental. And within the NHS, it's very hard to go out of the normal rationale and program of treatment and try new things. Inherently, when he takes a medication, azithromycin, it helps improve some of his behaviors. And that is a medication implicated in NF-kappa B inhibition and fits with his profile. The wider view is, if you identify a pathway like this and you try and perturb it in some way, does that have an impact in overall brain development? And that's a wider question, I suppose. But so that's the kind of the question I like to raise moving on, is not only the idea of repurposing medication, but really drilling down into the individual genetic changes and doing something with the results, not just screening medically for medical challenges, but actually impacting through therapy. And as we know, one of my main interests is in brain development is the immune system and how our immune systems overlap with not only how our brains are sculpted, but the ongoing challenges that children with neurodevelopmental delays face. but I don't have time to talk about that today. So the challenges are currently facing us. It's a vast array of neurodevelopmental disorders, the diagnostic overshadowing that many of these children have, particularly around the autism field, and the increasing comorbidities we're seeing with the immune system, inflammation, and metabolism, which we're struggling to understand. Within the way we look at genes as well, the whole genomes are currently only looked at panels currently, but I think there are many opportunities to look in other areas of the genome which would serve these children better in more of a whole book approach rather than just looking at the individual chapters. The reality is that many of these challenges are polygenic, and there are many other environmental and epigenetic influences on how genes function. And also increasingly, there'll be many variants of unknown significance, meaning on the back of whole genome sequence testing, we will get results which we'll sometimes struggle to interpret. But undoubtedly, many health issues remain for this group of children, and that these are an array of them you can see here. And the majority are very pervasive on life. They affect quality of life, they affect sleep, they affect every aspect of the child's life, and are life-limiting. And I think we need to be better trying to recognize what these challenges are, rather than just continuing on with very global diagnosis of a neurodevelopmental delay or profound autism. And to really highlight the importance of research, critical thinking and appraising information to move medicine forward, and to create and have creativity and collaboration with our partners outside of the NHS, within pharma and beyond. So I think I'm 10 minutes now, but that's me and Fred looking out into the blue sky, because I think we need to change the way we're working. We need to really embrace technology and the idea of genetics moving forward. And we're right at the start of a journey, which I think Kate has alluded to, and to try and delineate and understand the complexity of what is in a tremendously diverse area of medicine. Okay, so that's me done, I think.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And I think to me that sounded like the offer of perhaps a future talk that goes for a little bit longer to go into some of the details there, but really,
hopefully, sorry, I tried to fit too much in.
No, it was fantastic. And it's forever there's so much that we could cover, and it was absolutely fascinating. Thank you. So last but not at all least, in fact, most importantly, we are going to hear from someone with lived experience of, or more people with lived experience of rare disease. So we are joined today by one of Ben's patients, Michelle, who's going to share her experiences of caring for her son who lives with rare disease. So over to you, Michelle. And she did mention her computer needs a minute to think, so we might just wait for it to, there we go. You can feel you can feel the IT working overtime, can't you, Michelle? And you're still on mute at the moment. So whilst it's thinking, if you want to unmute.
I couldn't unmute while the screen was sharing. Sorry, bear with me. I will
No,
share
you're
it
doing
again
fine,
now.
don't worry. I think we can all hear the IT thinking as it goes. It's sort of the thing with Zoom.
There we go. Is that screen up okay for you?
So it's still coming, but it will come. We practiced this beforehand to our audience, so we know it. There it is. Perfect. Oh,
It's gone again. Oh, crumbs. I'm so sorry.
No,
Bear with
don't worry
me.
about it.
I will get there with this.
I think the standard joke that I make is that a Zoom
Perfectly
meeting.
earlier.
Yes.
Right. Hopefully. Okay, are we there?
So I can see a slide. It's not being presented at the moment, but I can see slides. So you could either try and let it go into the presenter mode, or if you want, we can see quite clearly if you just, perfect. Go from there.
Okay, brilliant. Right, I will start going then. So thank you firstly for inviting me along. I feel very privileged to be here. And privileged that I'm able to come and represent somebody with lived experience of a rare genetic condition. So this is the picture of my son. This is Bodhi. And as Ben has mentioned, Bodhi has got a rare genetic deletion. So on chromosome 6, he's got a genetic deletion 23.3 to 24.1. And I've been asked to come along to speak about our journey with genetics, really. So I'm going to keep it quite short. because I could talk all day about Bodhi, but I'll have to keep it quite brief, I'm afraid. So just a quick overview of Bodhi. Same as a lot of other children with genetic deletions and complications, he has a range of symptoms. So Bodhi has severe learning delays, he is autistic, he has ADHD, he has sensory processing difficulties, challenging behaviour, short stature, and from a very young age we were in and out of hospital. And Bodhi was presenting differently to other children his age at the time, and we had a lot of health conditions and often no answers, which is what led us on to being eligible for the genetics testing. So we got our genetics deletion identified. And our first thoughts and feelings, obviously, was a bit of confusion. What do all these letters and numbers mean? Which thankfully we had a brilliant doctor and a brilliant genetic counsellor talk us through. We had lots of questions. And I would say initially we felt relief getting the diagnosis, to be honest. There were finally answers to why Bodhi was presenting so differently from other children, and why we could never find any answers despite MRIs and all these other tests we'd had done. It also left us with a bit of anxiety, though, you know, where does this lead us? But on top of that, we had a lot of hope. We had a lot of, you know, what will the answers be? What's the future of this? And I guess having followed medical researchers and different things that are going on within medicine and the developments they're making, you know, these massive heart surgeries and these brilliant developments that are going on in medicine, we thought, you know, we might have something we can treat here and get our Bodhi back. So yeah, I think we had a lot more hope than anything at that stage. However, that soon went on feeling a bit of disappointment and not so much hope very quickly. Supporting groups and others helped us along our journey. So Unique was a key charity for us. They provided us with a booklet. It describes Bodhi perfectly and things that we've been going through. It was a basic overview though, and we found actually we couldn't find another child with the same deletion through Unique. And it just kind of skimmed and touched the surface for us. But it did give us the link to the chromosome 6 research project, which we were lucky enough to get onto through Facebook. And this allowed us to other families. And we found 2 other families we could actually get in contact with children with the exact same deletion as Bodhi. It also enabled us to take part in research studies, which were parent-centered research studies again, trying to put together phenotypes and the genetic aberrations so that other parents are better informed in the future. So again, that gave us a feeling of validity, really. You know, we could do something, but it still left us with limitations. And also with Bodhi, we found that actually we found these other people, but Bodhi still presents so differently to these other ones with the exact same genetic deletion, which has left us with a lot more questions along the way. So now on the future, I guess despite having the diagnosis, we've still got so many questions around Bodhi's health and his development and how we can best help him. So from a personal point of view, I'm quite good at researching things. And as Ben mentioned, we found this gene, the TNFA-IP3 gene, which is related to haploinsufficiency of A20. Which thankfully I've got Dr. Marlowe as a consultant, and he is kindly looking into further for us. And trying to find ways we can help Bodhi. I guess the downside of that for me, though, is that it took me to find that gene. It was a case of, you know, you get given this genetic diagnosis. This wasn't in it at the time. This is new research since. And the way of you being on a research register that then contacts you and says, oh, actually, we found this haploinsufficiency. So I guess for me, it highlighted that, yes, I found that for my child because I'm able to research these things and keep on top of it. But there's a lot of families out there that are not in that position and would not have the knowledge or the time or the energy to do that. So I guess I've been asked many times then, what are my future hopes in genetics? And first of all, I want to say that today has left me with a lot of future hope, if I'm honest. And I'm thankful to Kate Barker and the work that her team are putting in, and also to the CamRARE Centre as well. And I think research is so key, and involving parents in research and making us feel part of it helps so much and prevents that loneliness. So for me, my future hopes then are I want better genetic databases out there, where they're more accessible to doctors, where different places aren't just repeating themselves, but a central system where this information is available. More genetic support so that when new things do come up, they are flagged to the patients instead of parents or patients finding them out for themselves and having to have the confidence to go to a doctor and present it to a doctor. More research and investment, especially for those with rare chromosome deletions. There's a lot for groups like cystic fibrosis, for example, have a lot more put into them. But for these children that have really, really rare conditions, and there's only a few of them, there's no financial gain to the pharmaceutical companies investing in these children. So I just want us to be more identified and more involved in research. And the better development of gene-based therapy, really, the gene-based drugs, like Dr. Marlowe said, we're not going to reinvent the world on a lot of this, but using medicines that are out there that, research has shown can be linked and target to some of the genes and the genetic difficulties that our children have. And really just better funding and genetics being recognised more across the healthcare system. I know that when I was in my last appointment with Dr. Marlowe, it took us a while to actually find Bodhi's genetic deletion and try and find the copy loss numbers on the system. And to me, that just seems crazy. This should be flagged up as soon as we go into a medical records. This should be on that front page. He has this genetic condition. These are his main conditions. So I guess I want to see more development of better genetics awareness for medical professionals, and that information being readily available straight away. And that's about it. So like I said, I want to say thank you to everyone for all the research and everything they're putting in, because it means the absolute world to myself and families like me. And thank you again for letting me come and join in.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. I think no talk about rare disease research would be complete without remembering why it is that we're all doing it. And I think there's so much hope that has come out of today's talks, but also I think a real sense of frustration about wanting to move beyond the diagnosis. And that's perhaps where our hope will be there on in. So thank you to all of our speakers. I'd like to invite all of our speakers to turn their cameras on and we can do a few Q&A. And I know we don't have a lot of time, but we can definitely cover some of the topics that we've seen. And again, thanks to everyone who's been popping in questions and comments. And I've loved all of the little love hearts and thumbs up and things like that have been coming up as well. Really encouraging. Hard to know where to start with questions. But one of the common themes that kind of has come out is actually what you started on, Kate, around the link between getting a rare disease diagnosis and mental health. So I was just wondering if you wanted to come in a bit about perhaps more about what you'd like to see in future, perhaps to support our rare disease patients better following on their diagnosis.
I'll try to be brief. That's a topic I could talk on for a long time, but I think it's really critical that mental health is recognised as being part of the rare disease journey before, during, and after diagnosis in the long run. There's a whole spectrum of what we mean by mental health, from well-being through to significant psychiatric symptoms and long-term mental illness. And my major concern was the whole spectrum is that there's far too high a proportion of the rare disease community, patients and family members, who have long-term untreated psychiatric symptoms, which should be accessing routine care and effective treatment now. And it's incredibly worrying when I hear that the door to effective care is closed. So I would really like to make sure that that door is opened. There are lots of reasons why mental health is so important and this intersection is so important. So I kind of think about it as rare brains, because many genes that cause rare diseases affect brains in specific ways, and that's part of the picture. Rare bodies, which Ben and Michelle talked about. So physical illness has a huge impact and physical symptoms have a huge impact on mental health. So rare brains, rare bodies. but rare experiences of isolation and uncertainty and anxiety and exclusion and trauma and adjustment, that's part of the story. And then rare families. So there's 4 quadrants that we're researching, and no one research group, no one diagnosis, no one approach can put that whole picture together. But what we're doing is putting together a sort of new national consortium to think about it from those different perspectives. And what I want to happen is to stop seeing rare disease and mental health as a straight line where there's the before diagnosis, package of care, end of story, because life's not like that. We need to think in terms of circles, that you get an early rapid diagnosis with effective support during the diagnostic period, and then continue to think about brains, bodies, families and experiences, and continue to use that rare diagnosis to support everybody's mental health as life goes on and life changes. So that's a longer answer, but that's what I'd like to see happen, changing the picture from straight lines to circles and integrating rare disease into holistic care.
I think that covers it as well as could be expected in the time that we have. I feel like we're almost creating a series of talks that we could do on rare disease here, and we'd still only be scratching the surface.
It's in the pipeline.
Dr. Barlow, I think perhaps to follow that up then, we've talked a bit about sort of challenges and things like that. What would you say are the key kind of solvable challenges in rare disease research that you face as a researcher?
I think one is time. I work predominantly in clinic, so the bulk of my job is clinical, but it's to maybe interface with research better within the mainstream NHS, and to be more I suppose, I'm trying to think of the right word. It's being more able to work differently, to prioritize less some of the things we're forced to do in terms of the more of the paperwork, and to really think more creatively about what the genetics means, and holistically manage families and children in a clinical setting, and follow up regularly and timely, and having the time to do that and really cover all the bases, and to have the time to critically appraise new research. So to look at new papers that are published and connect better with researchers all over the world who have a far more in-depth understanding of that specific gene. So it's basically interfacing better with the wider community, and bringing together clinic and research better together. That would be my hope, and that's what we're trying to do here in terms of the way we're working and the roles that we're trying to design as part of an NHS service. Yep. Did that answer your question?
Yes, no, I think so. And I think even from listening to the talks today, as well as moving on from the diagnosis, one of the things that came through clearly for me as a host is this need to connect up better. Lots of our questions in the chat have been about people wanting to connect into research. Michelle, you mentioned you needed to find the gene yourself and be able to connect that into existing treatment pathways. And I think one of the kind of challenges we all have in research to some degree is not the lack of data and knowledge, it's trying to plug that data and knowledge into the right place to be able to make use of it. And I think that is certainly something that I see a lot of frustration on. I think that feels like a good spot to bring in Joe and Georgie, because one of the sort of ideas behind the rare disease program that you're working on is trying to bring together some of this expertise and help people plug into the right spots, as it were. Did you want to comment a bit on how we can work better as families and researchers to bring those things together, and sort of what both sides of the equation, as it were, can do to support you? It's a very nebulous question, I'm very sorry, but it feels like a good spot to bring you both in.
Yeah, I suppose what we're trying to do is be that exact entity that sits in the middle. And I think I certainly see the benefit of networking and cross-sector collaboration, but I think something that we restate too is we'd like that playing field to be quite equal, because we also have to acknowledge that for our clinicians, you may see patients in clinic, but the research priorities that they have out of clinic and that affect their day-to-day life may not always be the same. So I think something that we're really advocating for is, yes, we'd like networking, but we'd like that to be for everyone.
I think, yeah, just following on from what Georgie said, it's really building on the model that the Cambridge Rare Disease Network has had for the last 7 years of really trying to bring all stakeholders together in one room. And I don't necessarily mean a physical room at an event, but just giving everybody an equal platform to have their say, to be heard and listened to. I think it is the only way forward. Somebody asked a question in the chat there about how do we get pharma interested in research that may potentially seem to have little value, certainly financially, in a monetary sense, and that's a really interesting question. But I think it's about bringing these people together with us into the same space, so that they hear these stories, they hear the messages that patients and families are sharing, so that they can be more aware. And in our experience, they have been very supportive of a number of projects that we've been undertaking, which may not seem to have any monetary value, but certainly are hugely important and beneficial to the patient community. So there's definitely, they're there as part of the team, and we need to keep them involved.
Absolutely. As we sort of had met together as a group of panelists to discuss some of the questions that came in, and again, a huge thank you to everyone who keeps sending them in. We'd reflected again on those sort of two themes that I'd mentioned before about this wanting to move on from diagnosis, but this sense that given that this is a leap year and that we do this sort of, well, we do it more often than every 4 years, but there felt like something about wanting to reflect on where we'd like to be in 4 years' time. And so sort of with one eye on the time, and again, knowing that we can't do justice to all of the wonderful questions. Michelle, I wanted to come back to you. I think you finished your talk on a sort of a call to action and a message of hope, but where would you like to see us as researchers, as families, as advocates in 4 years' time? What do you hope will be different in, I'm too lazy to do the maths, what are we, 2024, 2028, in 29th of February 2028, what do you hope is different?
I think it's pretty much like I said on my slide, to be honest. I hope that we're working together a lot more. I just want all that information combined and for it all to be in one central place. And I want genetics to be at the forefront of medicine. I want it to be there on my child's record when a doctor opens it up. And I want that new research and new information to be automatically led into his medical records so that I'm not having to do it myself and others aren't having to do it themselves. And I'd like Kate's project, mental health in parents is so important. And I mean, at times in my presentation, I'm forgetting my words, and that's quite common now since having my child. You cannot underestimate the stress and the pressure that having a child with challenging behaviors, physical disabilities, developmental disabilities puts on the whole family. And I think, that whole thing of getting that diagnosis and then being left is outdated. We need to have that support and that ongoing support going forwards and targeted treatments, really. So we need some way of collaborating all that information and having it in an easy to access system to help the doctors going forward. They haven't got the time, they haven't got the money, the investment into this. So having some centralized system is so important for me.
Fantastic, thank you. Dr. Baker, Dr. Marlowe, would either of you like to make a final reflection in our last minute or two?
Sure, I would just like to pick up on the pharma request, and I know that we have different people from across the sector here, but just to get better engagement with pharma and to realize even within the scope of medicine, thinking about Alzheimer's and other disease groups in aging, there's so much overlap with neurodevelopmental disorders, and the realization in the future that the trials in this group are so hard because these are N of 1, very small numbers of children, and we need to think of, I suppose, of finding treatments and medicines in a different way, repurposing medication, but also realizing there won't be big randomized controlled trials in some of these children because they just aren't the number. So we have to think differently about how we go about trying to get licenses or to use medication in a controlled way, but something to at least try rather than not.
That makes sense. Dr. Baker?
It sounds cliched, but I think we need to carry on breaking down barriers. So for me, that's between rare disease and mental health, which are separate clinically and separate scientifically, and barriers between thinking about children and adults, because children grow up. and barriers between clinical disciplines and scientific disciplines. So there's barriers to be broken down. And the opposite of that is partnership. So again, it's a cliche, but every rare disease clinical journey and scientific experiment is a partnership. And that's what makes it a privilege and an excitement. And we've made so much progress. So we'll keep building those partnerships and breaking down the barriers and putting the patients and families at the centre of that, rather than families like Michelle's family having to do the travelling around to find the answers. We'll work in partnership with you, but try and centre that and bring that to you rather than you having to come to us, so to speak. Patient-centred, partnerships, breaking down barriers, and we'll move forward. I think the future will be better than it is now.
I think one of the questions I would have loved to have had time to answer that had come in was around aging and for people with rare disease. And I thought, but isn't it amazing that we are at a place now where we can really start to think about things like that? It is now 1:30, so I do need to wrap things up. A huge thank you to our speakers and a huge thank you to our audience. Thank you for all the questions that came in and for your honesty and your interest. And thank you to all the patients and the family advocates that keep working with us and telling us what's important to you. There were some really interesting questions and reflections around different things being important to different people and different experiences of healthcare that I think are so important, and we rely on you coming to share those experiences with us and with organisations like Joe and Georgie work for. So a huge thank you again to everyone who's come today. We will put some of those resources up on the website so you're able to come back to them. There was a question around papers, a request for some of your papers, Dr. Marlowe, that we will try and link to so that people can refer to them. And we hope to see you at future rare disease events. So thank you everyone for coming.